It's time for those late morning legends, Rose and Ben. 168 years of wins and losses, ups and downs, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Unplugged and unhinged, here they are, Rose and Ben.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to, a Benless edition of the Rose and Ben Show. Kate Kennedy with you, filling in for Ben Buckland, who is on assignment somewhere today. I don't know where he is, but he's on assignment somewhere. But Rosie, we still have you here.
Yes.
Your name is in front of Ben, so you are the one in charge of the show.
Well, we're in trouble there, but we're going to have fun then. If the boss is away, the cats will play, the mice will play.
Exactly. I mean, this is going to be one of those. I think it'll be a fun show today. The last time we were left on our own, we did a pretty good
We did
time.
a great job, and we have some really great guests today. We're talking a lot about Alva and other things, and you want me to just go right on into that?
Well,
or do
I was going to ask you how you're doing today.
Well, yes, it's always say it's a great day to be alive in Alva, Oklahoma. And I guess we had a little rain this morning. And other than that, I think we're ready to go.
I think we are. I mean, you've got two guests here. You told me you were going to have at least one, but you've got two guests
here today. And we're talking about Alva. We've got Nikki Chafee, and we have Lenny Reed. Nikki's going to tell us about Alva plus and good things that a lot of people don't know about in Alva, and she's going to bring us up to date on a few surprises that you may not know about. And then Lenny's going to talk about his genealogy and a nice little organization we have here in Alva that might assist you on any genealogy you might be interested in. All of us, I'm always interested in genealogy, but I never want to do the work. But I think there are people out there that are doing a lot of it, and it's nice if they'll pass it on to us. So I'm going to talk to Nikki first and ask her to tell us about a few little secrets that are around here in Alva. Here's Nikki.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Rose. About 3 years ago, the tiny library was developed. And this was in response to the City of Alva's application for a grant to put charging stations downtown. Now, that grant never did come through because of the expense, but the reason they needed this was there needed to be activities that people needed to have available for the time their cars were charging. So if you're aware of Downtown Square, you know we have shopping, we have a movie theater, now we have a restaurant, and now we have a little mini library. This little library is located on the west side of Northwest Electric. It was built by Ron Baker, and it was purpose-built. It's a little house, a little schoolhouse looks like. And he built this with a lot of thought for child safety. He built the front of it has a piece of plastic in it. The ropes that come down to flap open they're ropes, they're not chains, and there's just a small magnetic so that a child cannot get their fingers caught in the doorway. That little mini library has actually been repainted and repaired at least twice since it's been in place. The way that works is you can take books down there. Anyone can. You can take a book, leave a book, or just take books if you want to. And it's usually kept pretty well stocked. This is in the Pocket Park. They're just west of Northwest Electric. And also we've placed books, puzzles, CDs, and just anything to keep anybody occupied for a period of time. We also have blessings boxes that were started by Amanda Beck. She had two originally behind her hair studio and behind the Christian church. And now there's one at the police department, the high school, the Votech, the Wesley House. And these are supplied with non-perishable food items, and they're usually supplied by community members. And these are usually items that are easy prep and pull off lids. I have placed some can openers in there on occasion. There's no paperwork. There's nothing that is required to take food out of a blessings box. They're available 24/7. They're accessible. The goal was to make them accessible to children and adults in most neighborhoods in case they needed to walk to the areas. And those have been very successful. So, lucky me, I live in Alva, Oklahoma.
Nikki, if somebody wanted to donate, say, diapers or small baby stuff, would that be an appropriate place to also put those items?
Baby food items would be acceptable as long as they were non-perishable, such as canned items. I think that they discourage cloth products because they do get moldy. If some of the food items get spilled in there, they get on the cloth or those plastic and paper. People have put clothing items in there before, but now we have we have a thrift shop in Alva, and we also have the clothing exchange, the Bridge to Hope, where you can drop off clothing and exchange clothing. So I would encourage people to put clothing items in that location.
Okay, Nikki, thank you. That was great. Thank you for bringing these items to our attention, and we'll see if we can kind of help out a few things, and we'll go from there then. I think our next guest, think we'll put in is the young man that's going to talk about the Hartner Rodeo. And do you know how to pronounce his name, Cade?
Well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna do the classic. We're gonna find out all together here.
Everybody guesses first.
I believe it's. I'm gonna give it a crack here, and just Schlegel, is that the last name? Jared Schlegel.
Schlegel.
You
Yep.
know what? I'll take that. 95% almost accurate, but not. But Jared, I mean, we have a kind of calm weekend here now, but I know 15 miles up the road, it's going to be busy up in Hartner. You've got the Barber County Fair going on and the Barber County Rodeo as well. And so, Jared, just quickly, it starts Friday night, right? The rodeo does. The fair's today, but the rodeo starts tomorrow, right?
Correct. We had a ranch rodeo last night.
Okay.
And that was free to the public. And then tonight we have a free hamburger feed for the public as well. That is at 6 o'clock tonight. Like I said, free hamburger feed, open to the public. And then at 7 o'clock tonight, there's a fraternity show. So any cattle that was raised in Barber County will show tonight at 7 o'clock. So just tonight on Thursday, you could go up for a free hamburger and watch a free show.
That's going to be fun. I mean, you've got all that going on. And then for the rodeo specifically, I mean, is this kind of more of an affiliated rodeo, or is it kind of more of a, I guess the one I always grew up with was the Freedom Rodeo, which for a while was a long, open, kind of its own thing.
So the rodeo now is called a KPRA rodeo. It's Kansas Professional Rodeo Association. That is the same thing as Freedom, Oklahoma, Cherokee, Oklahoma, Winoka, Oklahoma. It's one huge circuit. So all the contestants will travel all year to try to make the finals, and we'll be at all these rodeos. And this year at Hartner, we have over 215 contestants entered. Gosh. So they will come in. They'll come in tonight. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock is what we call a slack, and that is everybody that cannot rope into performance on Friday night and Saturday night. We have it all in the morning. That's free to the public as well. We'll have a concession. So people start pulling in tonight from another rodeo to come compete tomorrow morning.
Okay. I mean, that is, I guess I've never thought about that. Yeah, you're busy all the time, and then you just got to bounce around from place to place. I mean, that's the life, though, for these people.
Yep.
I love it.
There's contestants that I know are up at Manhattan, Kansas tonight. That's 8 o'clock a perf. They'll get done about 10 o'clock, and then it's 4 hours to get to Hartner. So they'll get hidden about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock perf. And then I know a buddy that's going to be going from there to McCook, Nebraska. So they travel everywhere.
Yeah, so they're bouncing around from place to place. I mean, my goodness.
So, and then tomorrow for the fair, it's all the showings start. And the inflatables will be there from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m.
What's inflatables?
The mom and pops from Alva.
We should know about.
Yep, they are set up a lot. I've seen here at Alva. We'll have the water set up if the weather permits. I'm sure if it comes in storms, can't have the kids out there in danger. So that is from 4 to 10. All the classes will be, I think Saturday is when the Pee Wee's Swine Show is, starting at 8 o'clock on Saturday. Pee Wee bucket calves, you name. I think all day Saturday the showing's going on. Pedal tractor pull will be at 4:30, and then Saturday night at the rodeo we have a concert called Silverado Band. They are a 90s tribute band, so if you like any kind of live 90s music, they are awesome. They were here 2 years ago, and we got them back by popular demand. So we're excited about that.
You know, I used to live at Hartner. I used to go out there a lot of times, but my favorite spot to go was the food building. And can you tell us anything about that? Is that still going? I used to cook hamburgers with Sue Sterling, and she would stand there and cook hamburgers, and the people would just keep coming. And we all baked pies, and it was a very popular place to be. Is this still going?
The Fair Kitchen is still going. I think it starts today at noon, and Sue's daughter, Sid, is the one sitting there cooking all the hamburgers now. Like you said, all the pie, ice cream, you name it, at the Kitchen Fair in Hartner, Kansas.
See, I had the exact opposite because when I was at Freedom, working the Freedom Rodeo, you're trying to get your senior trip money doing that. So I got the experience of being the one in the concession stand trying to help everybody. And I got to see maybe 1% of the rodeo. I mean, we were in a building blocked off, and I mean, you're just trying to look around. Oh, yeah.
You were helping in the concession?
Yes, we had to try to fund our senior trip. That was our big fundraiser.
It's hard work, but it's good food, too.
It is.
Those ladies bake wonderful pies.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about taking the fun out of fundraiser, trying to watch 1% of a rodeo where you're trying to move around a building. Not the most fun.
Well, it's good to know that it's still in business, and people, that's a big part of the fair, is that food. And tell us how you are you in charge of what's your position or your title?
So I am the president of the rodeo itself. Larry Core is the president of the fair. So
Larry Core from where?
from Hartner.
From Hartner?
Yep.
He lives in Hartner?
Yep.
Okay.
So it takes an army to get us all to go, to get it all planned.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty good thing. Do you have anything else you could tell us about that? Because we'll all be heading north probably.
So one person just asked, you can buy tickets for the rodeo when you get there. They are $10 a person. 8 and under is free. And with that $10 ticket, you get a free hamburger. And then you get to watch the rodeo. And on Saturday night, there's a concert. So for $10, you can have free food, a rodeo, and a concert for $10. And another special thing happening Saturday night that is new to us is we are calling it the Border Bash Calf Dressing. We got 3 local football teams have a 4-man team, and they'll go out and catch a calf on foot, put shorts on the back feet, and put a football jersey over the head, and then drag it to a circle, all on foot. And the winning football team, the Barber County Rodeo, is going to buy them a pizza party. So we got Alva, Cherokee, and South Barber all committed, and we're working on a 4th one. So I think that's going to be exciting to watch.
Well, they better get that fourth one. I want to see them all brawl for it. That will be entertaining. I mean, that is. God, I can just imagine those kids. That's going to be. That's.
I think it'll be good watching. I'm excited. I hope we have a good young turnout with, I hope the rest of the football team comes and supports the kids, and I think it'll be cool to watch.
I think it will too. And this is the 104th edition of the county fair, if I'm correct. It started in 1919, which just kind of going into some of the history of that's incredible. I mean, just to keep going year after year. How long has the rodeo been going on with it? Has it been the same amount, or do we have any idea? Or
I don't think so. I would be lying to you, but I don't think it's been the 104 years.
Okay.
I've been in charge about the last 6. So.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to see if I could get some history out of it.
Yes. Well, it's a great place, and I'm glad it's continuing, and keep up with the good work.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And do you have any other thing that you need to tell us about?
I think the premium sale would be Sunday at 2:00. That's kind of the wrap up of the fair. The rodeo is obviously Saturday night. That's the wrap up for the rodeo. So that's about it.
There we go.
Well, with that, we thank you very much, and we hope they get the pants on those.
Yeah, gosh, that's. I don't know if we can keep doing the show. I'm going to keep thinking about that.
How long has that been? Is that new tonight?
The first time we've ever done it. It'll be
This
Saturday.
year?
This
Oh, okay.
So
Well, that's worth going up just to see.
Yeah, so that's worth the price of admission alone.
And you get a free hamburger. You have to go over to the food.
Yep. Yep. Free hamburger. We'll give you a ticket with admission, and you'll take that ticket over to the stand and get you a free hamburger.
That
Can't-
sounds like a pretty good deal to
You
me.
can't beat a deal like that. And I guess
Free music and a rodeo.
it sounds like we're good to go.
Yep.
It sounds like it. Jared, thank you for your time today. I mean, I appreciate it. Hartner, it's going to be busy. It's going to be lively, and that's what you like to see.
Yep. I hope everybody comes out and enjoys it. The nights have been cooling off. Last night was beautiful weather, so come on out and support local.
Did you have any rain this morning?
Nope, maybe a tenth, just enough to knock the dust down. So we are good to go.
There's nothing wrong with that. Folks, we will take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
It's Rose and Ben on KALV. Let's talk about your future. Are you looking for a career change or possibly training in computers, health careers, automotive, cosmetology, digital design, electrical trades, welding, or biomedical sciences? At Northwest Technology Center, we offer these programs for adults, high school, and homeschool students from Aleen Clio, Alva, Canton, Cherokee, Fairview, Freedom, Ringwood, and Winoka. Call to enroll today at 580-327-0344 in Alva or 580-227-3708 in Fairview. Northwest Technology Center is preparing students for success in education, careers, and life. This is Rose and Ben on KALV.
Welcome back here to Rose and Ben. Been talking to Jared Schlegel about the Barber County Fair, the Barber County Rodeo. I mean, just the fair starts tonight, I believe. Rodeo will start tomorrow night. That's just going to be fun. I'm sorry. I keep thinking about 3 or 4 football teams trying to do that. I don't know if we can keep going on with the show because that's now all I want to think about for the next hour.
That's worth the price of admission alone will be.
I mean, it is. That's going to be entertaining.
Yes, it's a long tradition going to Hartner. And as I said, going to the food hut and eating those good hamburgers, they're still being cooked by the Sterlings, so you know they're going to be good.
Well, Rosie, I believe we've still got one more guest.
Yes,
here
we
today.
do
I mean,
have it.
We might break a record for the amount of people we've been able to get in and out.
Yeah,
today.
we're rolling right along. And this next guest is Lenny Reed, and he's got a lot to tell us about genealogy. He's into it big, and I always appreciate someone else doing the work and telling me about it. And I think he's going to tell us how you can get started, and maybe there's a club here. So I'm going to turn it over to Lenny.
Good morning. I'm here representing the Northwest Oklahoma Genealogy Society, founded by Larry Thorne. And there is a genealogy room at the Alva Public Library. Also, the library has a free Ancestry.com system where you can start getting your basic information. Now, when you start wanting documents and things, you'll have to have your own account, but you can get started with Ancestry.com at the library.
Do you go in there and sign up, or what do you mean? How do you get started?
You talk to the lady at the desk, and she'll take you over, sign you a computer, and you punch into the Ancestry.com, and you can put your name or your parents' name and do some research. And Ancestry will give you these little green leaves that will suggest who the grandparents or great-grandparents were, where they lived, and maybe some of their dates and things, and will get you started.
This is on a special computer dedicated, or just any computer?
Just any computer that's there can have that service. I would like to also tell you that the Genealogy Society meets the second Saturday of the month at 10 o'clock in the morning, August through May. We do not meet in June and July because of something called harvests and that type of seasonal work.
I've heard that's pretty important.
Yeah. If you can picture two triangles that meet at the top, one going one up and one going down, and where they intersect is you. If you're going up, you're going into your ancestors. Now, there's a kind of a new trend where people want to start with themselves and show their descendants and how they expand. You know, back in the day, 100 years ago, most farm families were about 9 to 12 kids. Well, that's not true anymore. Most families, in fact, I believe the average is now below 2 kids per family in the United States. And that's just a normal population pattern that we have. Today, there are about 8 billion people on planet Earth, and that keeps growing. Unless something happens, they think in 100 years we'll be at 10 billion. Now, if I ask somebody, what's your ethnic background? Most of you are going to say, well, around here, German, Dutch. Well, people, I don't want to insult all of my ancestors. So I say I'm an American mutt. And the reason is I'm Welsh, Scotch, Irish or hopefully Celtic, Anglo-Saxon, English, Norman, French, Flemish, Dutch, and German. And that even starts with my dad. You know, he was half of that mixture.
What's the name of the program where we send it in and they write back and tell what you are?
Well, you mean by DNA, or there's several DNA programs. I've personally have done 3 of them. I highly recommend 23andMe.
That was the one I was thinking of.
That was what I was. Did they all come back approximately the same?
The first one came back, said I was over half Scandinavian, and that was from the Nat Geo program. Now, Ancestry.com and 23andMe do update when they get new additional information or they get new groups of people tested, because I'm supposedly like less than 1% Sigali, which is an African nation, and I don't know how that fits in, but supposedly it's there, and I am 0.3% like Neanderthal. So, there's all that kind of mixture.
I believe that.
I guess no one could use that as an insult to you. Well, yeah, I am 0.3%. What about it?
Yeah. Now, most of the research has been on European research. Native Americans have a problem getting far back and without turning to oral family history because there's just not records. I taught among the Navajo, and they could get, by using what they call their census number, they could quickly get back to about 1868 when the treaties were signed. But going beyond that, it's very difficult. African Americans can fairly easily get back to the Civil War period, but since they were treated as chattel, a lot of times the owners would record them in their wills, but not by name, just male, 16, laborer, or something like that. Their names were not used. One of the funny things about genealogy, if you hit a royal line, you can go back very, very fast. But beware, if you end up going to a Jewish ambassador from Persia, it's a fake thing going to Adam and Eve. Because some of those royal families tried to prove that they were descendant directly from Adam and Eve. And thinking of those theories, you know, if you go back 6 generations, you're looking at 64 people. And the new theory is if you're from the British Isles, you have a connection to the royal family in that 64 individuals. Some way, somehow, and King Charles, ran into a steward and sat down and could figure out they were like second cousins 9 times removed or something. So even the royal family keeps pretty good accurate of what's going on. There are organizations like the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution, that has a beautiful room at the Cherokee Strip Museum. And you have to almost have positive proof that you are connected. There's the SAR, which is the Sons of the American Revolution, and they're not as picky. Also here in Oklahoma, we have the Twin Territories. And if you're an Oklahoman and you can show that your family was here before 1906, you can join this organization and receive a certificate because your family was here when it was the Oklahoma Territory or the Indian Territory. If you can go back far enough, there's a very high society group called the Colonial Danes, and you have to be able to prove that your ancestors came over before the Revolution. And of course, you start digging and you go from 64 to 128 ancestors. You also have a Mayflower organization, and now they're saying like it's millions of Americans are descended from the original people on the Mayflower. What I would really like to ask the listeners to do is to write down what information you know. Not for yourself, but for your grandkids and your great-grandkids. And all you have to do is stick it in the Bible or some important book that you know they will find it someday and help get them started.
What kind of information?
Oh, like who their grandparents were, when their grandparents were born, where they were born, where they lived. There's an ad on TV right now, I think for Ancestry, of glass making. They found a glass making family that had made glass for, blowing glass and shaping it for 5 or 6 generations. And talk to your oldest family members and record it some way and listen for every little detail. I had a great aunt, and I was interviewing her, and she talked about her family. Well, she had married into the Reeds, so I basically dismissed what she said about her family. But she kept mentioning a family named Hagerman. And guess what? That was my great-great-grandmother was a Hagerman. And I didn't know that. So any little clue, any little hint may open a big box. Now, when you fill out your forms, traditionally, the father's line goes on top. Like there's you, and then you break into two lines, kind of like a basketball tournament sheet, but in reverse. You have you, then you have your parents and your grandparents. You keep dividing the lines as you go further back. And any information, where they lived at a certain time, census records, a lot of that is now online, and you can get a lot of information. The mother's line is the bottom half of the outline. And so it's interesting. Most of us, as European Americans, almost all of us descend from some guy named Charlemagne. And the reason was, or the reason is, I guess, is he couldn't keep his pants on, and he had several wives and a bunch of mistresses and so forth, and he had 20, 30 kids or something like that. And because they were royalty, they basically escaped the Black Death when that hit. And those survivors came down and expanded. I mean, if you look at your own families, my mother's family, 9 kids. But there was a gap. There was a gap in the kids to find out there was a 10th one that died as a baby that nobody ever talked about. Be prepared for family secrets. If you get a chance and you're really interested in genealogy, Dr. Henry Gates on Tuesday nights on PBS, tracing your family roots. And I've seen people find out that their great-grandfather isn't who they thought they were because they do the DNA test. Now, I have a funny little story. I did 23andMe, and a few years later, my brother did this 23andMe, and he got a letter. Your closest relative is your brother, Lenny. And he said, well, I guess we have to admit we are related. So that's for the Northwest Genealogy Society.
There have been a lot of happy reunions because of that 23andMe. I think they've all been happy. Most people are delighted to find out where they...
And one area that really needs to be looked at are adoption records. Apparently in Colorado, we have one member that was adopted that wants to find out. And Colorado's records are very tightly sealed. You have to go to a judge and all these things to get the records unsealed. The best excuse to try to get them unsealed is health research. Trying to see, and that's another thing. If you know somebody died of consumption or a heart attack or stroke, you can begin to see maybe a pattern in the family with the health research that they're doing. We had a Dr. Simon, I think it was Dr. Bill Simon here, who told my dad one time after a certain age, you could just write cancer down on the death certificate because that's what was getting almost everybody. So, and then, and without breaking into another big topic, there seems to be a lot of cancer still running around here with the chemicals and everything. Yes, Rose?
Well, do you have any questions, Kate?
Well,
you look like you do.
I don't have a question per se, but I do kind of have a story because this is something that, Rose, when you texted me and said, we have someone from the Genealogical Society today. I thought, well, what in the world is a genealogical society? I'm a young person. I don't know what that means. But then, just quick Google search. I found out this is something I do when I'm bored. There's a website I use called Family Search, which is helped in partnership with the Church of the Latter-day Saints. And I don't know if it's as good as Ancestry or anything like that, but you can put your name in and do stuff like that, and it'll go and go. And it's interesting, Lenny, you had mentioned the royal family because they'll send me updates when they update their catalog. And allegedly, my 12th cousin once removed was Queen Elizabeth II. And that was something I found out that was absolutely shocking to me. And even more so on my mom's side, fifth cousin, 6 times removed, a man named Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, yeah, I totally understand.
I was stunned.
Even though Washington didn't have any children, one of my cousins married his great niece, and it was through his brother that inherited Mount Vernon. And I'm connected to a couple of presidents, and once you start getting back there, I mean, imagine Woodward, Oklahoma. It's about 20,000 people. Well, in the colonial period, the largest city in the United States was Philadelphia with about 16,000 people.
Yeah.
You didn't have a lot of choice, and it's kind of like Alva. We need new blood to increase the genetic pool. And it's like another thing about genealogy and illness. Queen Victoria had a mutation. And we are all mutants of some form or another. Our color of our eyes, color of our hair, losing our hair, or, all of a sudden getting hair growing in strange places like our ears or something that we didn't have when we were kids. Well, those are all mutations determined by our DNA. And the hemophilia problem in the royal family is now apparently faded out. We had Genevieve Ferris's daughter, I can't think of her name right now, come up, and she's done a lot of studies and presented a program to the Genealogy Society on DNA. And this is the way I understood it. It may not be correct, but, when you're created, you're only half of your father and half of your mother. You're a fourth of your grandparents. You're an eighth of your great-grandparents. Well, what happens to that 7/8? It's just filtered away. And they think, or the theory presently is, Native American genes are recessive, and Anglo-Saxon genes are dominant, kind of like blue eyes, brown eyes. And as it comes down, if you have Native American in you, you may, I supposedly have a little bit of Native American in me from the 1600s, but it doesn't show up anywhere. That's why I'm kind of shocked that I have a little bit of Seagal from Africa in me. But, and that's how they discovered the Romanov remains in Russia. After the Soviet Union fell, they determined the grave site and found Tsar Nicholas, Alexandria, their servants, and all but 2 of their children whose bodies had been burned at another location. And they found that location and identified Marie and I think it was Alex, the boy, and one of the girls that had been there just by bone fragments. So it's just interesting.
Well, that was a neat story, Kate. Were you pretty in awe when you found
I
that?
didn't think I would ever be related to famous people. I thought I was just, just people from Alva and Ardmore, America,
Yes.
It's funny because I went back on my dad's side, and it was crazy to me. You had mentioned the Twin Territories, and my dad's side of the family, it's funny that they never moved. They've stayed in the same 10-mile radius for over 100 years. And then I look at my mom's side.
And then where did they come from?
They came originally, they came from England at some point, but they've stayed in southern Oklahoma since before it was a state.
Okay.
Stayed in between Ardmore, Lone Grove, and Wilson, which if you know anything about southern Oklahoma, that's about a 15-mile stretch of road that they just bounced back and forth between. But then on my mom's side, it's the complete opposite because it's from Oklahoma, Kansas, southern Oklahoma, Czechoslovakia at some point got mixed in there, and England and Scotland and a whole bunch of other places.
Well, yes. Well, that's pretty neat. Did that pique an interest in you to do genealogy or? You're
It
like
did.
I am. You want somebody else to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it did because it's one of those, that's kind of the story of America if you really think about it. We
That's
come
right.
from all sorts of places to be here.
I'm ever grateful. I'm so sorry I didn't ask my grandmother more questions. She lived on the Volga River, and they came over when she was about 18. And why I didn't sit down and that's another thing you might press, Lenny. Tell them to talk to Grandma.
Oh, yeah. It's good. Grandma or the aunt that never married.
Yeah.
And try to get her to tell the family secrets that pop out. Because DNA, if you go that route, you're going to find some family secrets that you might not want to know.
Tell us about, do people still go, is it Utah? Where do they go for all of the genealogy studies?
Well, like was mentioned earlier, the LDS Church has supposedly, I've not been there, but several of our members have been out to Salt Lake City, and they have huge vaults underground to protect the records. And they came through Alva, I think about 20, 30 years ago, and copied all of the courthouse records. And if you had a family Bible, they would copy that. If you had any type of public record, they were wanting to copy it for those vaults. And as you said, on the family tree research center, you have to connect. Now, I do want to give you a warning. I have a great grandfather. He was born in Indiana, and Reed was spelled R-E-I-D. When he showed up in Illinois, they spelled it R-E-E-D.
Yep.
And I found his death record, it was R-E-A-D. So sometimes even a simple name like Reed can mess you up.
Well, it's just like my dad. When he got tired of getting mixed up with some other Kleins, we originally spelled it K-L-E-I-N. So one day he just decided to change it. You didn't have to tell anybody. You just changed it to K-L-I-N-E.
And one of my family branches, I apologize if your last name is Van Osdel or Flater, we're cousins. You can't get away from it. We're cousins. And the Van Osdels, I think it's when they were in Iowa, there were 3 boys, and they each had about a dozen kids. And the school kept getting confused when they had to get a hold of the parents. So my branch became the Van Osdels, one branch became the Von Osdels, and the other branch became the Van Osdels. Well, a few years ago over in Jet Nash, somebody passed away and their obituary was in the paper and they were Van Osdel. And we were all, and that's a Dutch name. We thought it was German, but it was actually a Dutch name, started out as Van Arsdale, and somehow ended up the Van Osdel here. So you have to be careful with the spelling.
That was interesting. I didn't know that they came through here 30 years ago. And
Yes, the LDS Church did come through here in Alva. It could have been Fort Rose. They came and they photographed and photocopied every record they could get their hands on. So,
I mean, that's incredible to think about. But folks, we've got to take a quick break. We're talking to Lenny Reed about genealogy, ancestry, all that fun stuff that you wouldn't think it's that, again, like I said, even for me, it's a word that, it's a big word. You have to think about that
Yes.
for a moment. But once you get into it, it is a lot of fun to talk about. Folks, we'll take a quick break and be right back.
It's Rose and Ben on KALV.
Alva State Bank and Trust Company, older than Oklahoma, big enough to serve you and small enough to know you.
We love to give back to our customers. Did you know Alva State Bank offers a great rewards checking account program? That's right. You can earn cash back or high interest with our Kasasa accounts. We will even refund you up to $25 in ATM fees.
How do I qualify?
It's simple. Just swipe your debit card 12 times, sign up for online statements, and have one ACH credit or debit post to your account.
Can I do it online?
Yes.
Just visit our website at www.alvastatebank.com to see if our Kasasa Rewards program is right for you.
We make banking easy. Whether you're at home, the office, or in your car, our online or mobile banking options help you juggle busy schedules and financial needs.
We plant roots where others have branches.
Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
This is Rose and Ben on KALV.
We are back here on the Rose and Ben show, minus the Ben, Kate Kennedy, filling in. The most mature morning show in the world gets a lot less mature today, a lot less experience and wisdom as well. But we are still talking to Lenny Reed about the genealogy. What did you say? Is the Northwest Genealogy Society?
Northwest Oklahoma Genealogy Society. We will have a booth at the county fair. We do that every year. Rocky Fox is the one that usually likes to sit that, and he can talk. And he knows that, and he enjoys it. So that's like, we will let him do his thing.
Yeah, let him do his thing.
And the organization, our dues are $20 a year. We have 10 programs on the second Saturday of the month, 10 o'clock in the morning at the library. Occasionally, we might try to take a field trip. We've gone down to the Sod House by Alene. For the last one was for a display of quilts and quilt making. And the lady talked about the history of the quilts and found out that she made the disclaimer that the quilts that they would hang out for the Underground Railroad, a lot of that was not as true as what a lot of people were thinking, because some of the patterns were not developed until after the Civil War. So we've had a presentation on flour sacks. Now, Alva used to have the roller mills, and the museum does have an Alva roller mill flour sack. You know, and that's the big, tall building down by the railroad station that I really wish somebody could do something with, but that evil asbestos appears to be stopping it. And that's another thing. I'm old enough, I can remember doctors advertising cigarettes on TV. And of course, now you're not allowed to show that. And it's just another sign of the things changing. Do not judge your ancestors by our standards today. I have a southern side of my family. I have a northern side. I had an uncle who was very, very proud because we have a connection to some guy named Jefferson Davis. But the closest relative I can find is a great uncle or a great-great uncle who died at the Battle of Atlanta wearing a blue uniform that my uncle never talked about. I wonder why. But you know, you'll never know what you're going to discover.
I mean, yeah, take it from me. And like, you know, I would never think my family, you know, I guess it's bad to say on there. I never thought my family would be connected to anyone important. And then you look and boom, Abraham Lincoln, boom, Queen Elizabeth. That, like FDR's on there at some point, I think.
Well, then we might be related.
There we go.
Because I have it's through his Teddy Roosevelt's daughter, they called her Princess Alice, and Alice Longworth was her married name, and she had married the Speaker of the House. Well, somehow I'm connected to the Longworth side with him, and then their daughter married a French count. You know, so you never know where it's going to go or where it's going to head. But I encourage you to write what you know down and stick it in a Bible or a Quran or a book that is important to your faith, and let it so your grandkids can see it, find it.
Well, that's right. And talk to Grandma. Don't be afraid to sit down and ask questions, because I think they'll be very forthcoming. now we're just making a lot of guesses. Where did Birogs come from? Where did watermelon syrup come from? We think it probably came from Russia. When they lived on the Volga, they had to put the cow in for the winter and have a way to make sugar. And so we're just, I guess also that's the way history changes. But yes, we need to ask questions.
And they're old family recipes. When I was a child, my mom, Carrie Reed, who was a teacher, made something called suet pudding. And it was kind of like a heavy brownie on the bottom, but the stuff she put on top as icing was wonderful. I didn't have a clue of what suet was until I was in junior high. Then it was like, I've been eating that? And if you don't know, it's kind of just the fat.
It's what?
Fat.
Oh yeah, it's the fat of the hog, I think.
Folks, we've got one final break we need to take. We need to squeeze in here, and when we come back, we might have I don't know if this will be a first on the show. We have an audience question.
Okay.
Someone has texted. They have a question. We'll come back to that here in a moment.
You're listening to Rose and Ben on KALV.
Beatles New Beginnings Nursing Center is proud to offer comprehensive care solutions for those who matter most. From rehabilitation and palliative care to skilled nursing and long-term care, Beatles is committed to providing comfort, dignity, and peace of mind. Now, with a second location, the Beatles family continues its long-standing tradition of excellence, serving the people of Northwest Oklahoma with the same compassion and dedication they've been known for. Come by and see them at 720 North Share Boulevard in Alva. Beatles New Beginnings Nursing Center, your care, your comfort, your community.
This is Rose and Ben on KALV.
Welcome back to the Rose and Ben Show. Kate Kennedy filling in for Ben Buckland today. We do have a audience question that comes from someone who's helped us out plenty of times here on KLV, and she asks Lenny here, ask him, how true do you feel like that information is? I mean, is there ever you find something out and there's a little bit of doubt in your mind, like there's no way that's real, right?
Well, it depends on the records you're using. One of my ancestors, somebody claimed they died in a city in Illinois, and there was like no way they could have been there because it was clear across the state. And another record showed that this one person was illiterate. They couldn't read or write. But the family that he came from had a school on their farm in Indiana. And it was like, well, if family builds a school, wouldn't the kids all get educated? But when he showed up later down the line in a census record, it said he was illiterate. Something could have happened. So you have things like that. And then there's situations where a sister will take the niece in as her own child or the nephew, and the whole family just acts like that's their child. Well, in at least the Navajo society, that's quite normal because they have a system they call sister brother, no, that's wrong, excuse me, sister cousin or cousin sister, and it's on the female side. So if you have two sisters and they have daughters, they all consider themselves sisters, and that's the way they act. And they don't really pay that much attention to the male side. You have some that they will call cousin brothers, but they're not as important.
Okay, well, that's a pretty good answer, honestly. I mean, I just thought my mom wanted to try to throw something in there about how I don't know if I can trust anything or not, but...
There was one of the original founding members, I can't think of her name offhand, felt you could pretty well trust American records until you headed back into Europe. Okay. But the last 15, 20 years, they have really added tons, and this is once again, I believe, through the LDS Church, have added tons of church records, baptismal records, probate records from France, England, Germany, Italy, Spain, and You can see that on the PBS show, Finding Your Family Roots. I can't think of its proper name offhand.
Well, it's all real interesting, Lenny, and I hope that people will take some of the advice that you gave today and start questioning their ancestors, because we need to keep track of what's behind it, make it a little easier for the people on down the line. Do you have anything?
I mean, it's always impressive to see everything that came before you.
Mm-hmm.
At least I would think for most people. I hope, if you get something out of this conversation today, go look into where you came from. It's an amazing story. Everyone's got a story to tell, and you're a part of it.
And as a former history teacher, American history, it gives you a hook. I have an ancestor that was a 49er. And, have an ancestor that died in the French and Indian War. So it gives you those hooks into history that other groups might not be able to get.
Exactly.
Well, we've had a good session today, Lenny. And if someone who wants to join your group, is it okay?
Sure, we're open. Anybody can join.
Okay, and you have a lot of interesting programs, and I guess with that we'll wrap it up. Are we about out of time, Cade?
Yeah, we've got about 2 minutes until we hit that noon hour, so I think it's as much as I'd like to keep going with this, I think it's about as good of a time as any to wrap things up. So, Lenny, of course, thank you for coming on again today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who came on today.
It was quite interesting. It was a good time, and we'll be looking for Benny back next week.
Yep, he'll be back. We'll have everything hopefully on a normal schedule. But
yes.
Folks, as always, we appreciate you listening in, and until next time, have a good one, everybody.
You've been listening to Rose and Ben, Unplugged and Unhinged. Now we breathe a big sigh of relief and switch you back to regular programming on KALV.